Take it easy and solve the school lunch problem with SPAM. S-P-A-M.
こんにちは、タイガークローラジオ。You are listening now. Back J.
You are listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Number 1 in vintage computer and video game entertainment. And now your host, Critical Failure.
Alright. Are we doing better now? We were peaking a minute ago. I tried to get the recording started and it was peaking something fierce. There we go. It looks like I got Alex Swingle messaging me. So what's going on, everybody? This is Critical Failure. You were listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Hang on a second. I've been excited. I've been thinking about this for all day. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Holidays are over. Magfest is over. And last week was the first week I've taken off since the return. So TCR came back around 173, something like that. And I'm heading over to the next round right now to figure out what episode we're on. Because to be honest, I don't even know. I really don't. But yeah, first week I've taken off, so thank you so much to the patrons and to everybody for understanding. Just let me go have fun. I really appreciate that. And then on Monday when I came back exhausted, I was able to sleep instead of throwing together a terrible podcast. So I'm excited to do this one. I got some good van casting. The events leading up to Magfest. I got some stuff to talk about. I know gaming news isn't really a thing that I do, but there's a couple things I want to go over before we dig into the Vancast. But first, since this is kind of like the great return to the old format, let's play some chip tunes and let's go to an old standby now. This is Jar. Now, if you're not familiar with Jar, over in chipmusic.org, Jar was an artist that I found just downloading some MP3s. Let's just get some MP3s. And this person had maybe 3 tracks, and they were all, in my opinion, the best chiptunes that I have come across since I started looking for chiptunes for Tiger Claw Radio, at least since its return. So this song is called Bucket Boy. It's from Jar, J-A-A-R. You can look them up on chipmusic.org. Get yourself a copy of the MP3. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Sega has some sort of announcement that people have been talking about lately. That they, and forgive me, I've only looked at headlines and I have not had the chance to really research it. So allow me to do the worst thing you can do and just regurgitate headlines that I've seen without having read the articles. There's some rumors. No, I take it back. I believe it was an announcement. We'll call it rumors, considering I haven't researched it properly. That Sega is reproducing some of their old hardware. So they're going to make new Genesises, new Dreamcasts, and brace yourself, new Sega Saturns, new Sega products. So I would imagine that these are going to be similar to like the Sega Genesis Repro that Hemrock bought for me. I've got all sorts of questions on about this, especially about a Sega Saturn. So if you were going to buy a reproduction of a Sega Saturn, even like let's say an officially licensed reproduction of a Sega Saturn, how much would that cost? What are we looking at in terms of game acquisition? Aren't Sega Saturn games super duper expensive? Now I know, as my boy Jerry Terrifying will tell you, you can get your hands on an action replay and play imports and play. I believe you can play burned games. I don't know. If Jerry were here, he'd be able to lay it all down for you. But I'm still excited about it because it just cracks open the door to a world that I kind of felt shut off from. So kudos to Sega, whatever they come up with for trying. I mean, these will be official Sega hardware, right? We haven't seen much of that lately. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Considering how long, hang on, this is hot off the presses. I think this might be the first time I've been able to legitimately say that in all the time TCR has been on the air, all the years. 6 Health of Fury, Alex Swingle, my dear friend, he's chatting me on Steam right now. And he says, please mention the Raiden challenge so Dumaze can practice. He abandoned Raiden 3. I guess I'm too pro. Hashtag shots fired. Alright, Dumaze. Listen, we got to take this guy down. Dumaze, I want you to fire up Raiden 4, get it installed and jump in. The trick is to just do that one run where you just play, I'll just play for a few minutes. If you can do that one run, you'll be hooked, and we have a competition. I did my first real run. I played Raiden 4 last night on like super hard. Was it last night or yesterday morning? I didn't have a lot of time, so I played it on a super hard mode, and I died almost instantly. But today, when I got home from work, I was able to do a real run of the game, my first real run in a while, and I got, let's see, 5.8 million, 5,842,920. I don't think that's a whole lot. I got towards the beginning of the 3rd level, I believe. Well, I'd have to go back and check the scoreboard. So, so 5.8 mil. It's a very beatable score, Dumaze. Let's make that your benchmark, because that's one solid run. We can do this, man. Swingle says he's not telling us what he has got thus far, because he didn't want to dishearten us on our first run. But look, I've seen your collection. You got a knockout collection. You got what Bithead would call a shocker of a collection, I would say. So you're one of the pros, man. Let's take this guy down. Let's show him how we do it. All right? Any of you guys out there listening? Raiden 4 went down to $2.50 during the Steam sale. I hope you got it. Join in. Hashtag shut Alex Swingle up. Hashtag high scores. Hashtag don't be mad, bro. Just a joke. All right. Let's go back to what I was talking about. My van casts, I got 3 of them. They're all out of order in terms of time, so I'm gonna do the best I can to put them back in order. I started recording these before Magfest because I was gonna try and shoot for. I was gonna try and get an episode out. I didn't want to miss an episode, but unfortunately I couldn't do it. So note that this van cast was recorded 2 weeks ago. And we can pretty much throw anything I say about timing in the garbage. Oh, this will be out then, that will be out then. Well, let's just get rid of all that. Let's just enjoy it. We're going back 2 weeks. This was a very hopeful time for me. It was rough because I was ready for a break at work. But it was also a very hopeful time, and I very much enjoyed it. So, all right, guys and gals, let's go to the van. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. I apologize. Before we get into the van cast, I didn't realize how bad the microphone was peaking. I'm going to work on that before we come back from the vancast. It is cold. Oh, man, it's cold. We're looking at Tuesday morning, driving to work. It's like, my dashboard says it's 8 degrees out. That feels like, certainly feels like it, but I bet it's a little colder than that. All right, let's see, where am I going now? We'll go this way. All right. So the New Year's has come and gone. Christmas has come and gone, and we're back to business as usual here in 2018. Now, at the end of this week is Magfest. By the time you're listening to this Magfest is probably already come and gone, but as of right now, it's something I can look forward to, which is great. Before I got everything together and jumped in the car, I had the chance to fire up the PC, play with Steam games for a while. Sat down with Dead or Alive 5, which I played yesterday as well. Very much enjoyed it. That's a game that I feel like it merits more time than I've actually put into it. I've got about 7 hours into UA 5 on Steam, and I like that game. I like that series. One thing I noticed was that I tried to play it online for like the first time yesterday, and the netcode is laughably broken, which is a shame. But apart from that, apart from having terrible netcode and unplayable multiplayer, pretty good game. Good, lots of offline options, more so I think than any other fighting game I've ever played. And on top of that, I've had the chance to play local multi with that game a couple of times. Local multi in Dead or Alive. It's great. It's great. Although to be fair, local multi in any fighting game worth its salt is really where the meat and potatoes are. All right. So off we are. Off we go to work. Let's see. Again, you've probably seen videos about this by now. I'm not sure when they're going to get up or not because I'm having a hard time finding time to edit. But old Hemrock, how you doing, buddy? He sent me a package for Christmas. It was wonderful. He sent a Sega Genesis flashback. Beautiful piece of hardware. Which I hooked up and had the chance to test out. Now, Hemrock, you said you wanted me to you were hoping for some kind of a review or something. I'd love to do something like that, but I'm still kind of in the testing phase, figuring out the finer points of the hardware. So this is what I got so far. I got the impression that when I played Sonic the Hedgehog, it was dropping some frames, but I have to immediately play it on the actual hardware so I can compare it back to back. It comes with 2 wireless controllers, but it also has controller ports for the standard controllers. The wireless controllers I would grade at a B+. They're much better than the average third-party garbage, but not as good as the legit controllers, as you would probably have guessed. One problem I noticed was that when I plugged in there's no off button for the wireless controllers. So when I plugged in a regular controller, they would conflict with each other, and every 60 seconds or so, inputs would just drop for about 5 or 6 seconds. So I'm still testing on the best way to get around that. Maybe I can take the wireless controller and put it in the other room so that they don't conflict or something. And it doesn't seem to happen. The dropping of the inputs, it doesn't seem to happen when I'm just using the wireless controller. So something's clearly going on. It also has a rewind function where there's a rewind button placed in the middle of the wireless controllers, and you smash that button and it drops you back about 6 seconds or so, 5 or 6 seconds. So if you're playing like a shmup, like Ride and Trad, which is what I was playing the other day, and you get shot, you can smash that button, and then you'll be alive again. Kind of like a super fast version of scumming save states, which is okay. You know, a neat feature, whether you use it or not. Oh, excuse me, whether you use it or not, it's a neat feature. The only problem is they made it so that if you hold left and start together, it will perform the rewind function. I think the idea was to give rewind capabilities to the standard controller, right? But what I've noticed is because of that, if you're in the middle of a game and you try and reach over and hit the start button to pause while you're, performing movements, there's a good chance that you'll accidentally trigger that rewind, and the game will reel back 6 seconds when you don't want it to. To be fair, I haven't dug through the options because I'm pretty sure I could turn that off. But that has been a thing. Before I knew what was going on, there were a couple instances playing Sonic the Hedgehog where I would accidentally roll it back 6 seconds instead of pausing, like when I wanted to just pause. So that's a thing. What else? It works fine with reproduction carts, which is awesome. The cartridge slot... the cartridge slot seems to work just fine, which is great. As far as game selection, the combination of the game selection and the functioning cartridge slot, I think, puts it far and above the NES and SNES classics. In terms of game selection, I don't have the box in front of me, but I think it has like 85 games on it. And those games are spread across the Master System, a few select ones from the Master System, mostly Genesis games, and then a couple of Game Gear games as well, which I think the inclusion of any Game Gear games on this thing is truly awesome. Because I'm not saying it's impossible to play a Game Gear game on your TV without using emulation, but good luck, man. It's not easy. The only way I can think to do it is to get, I think there's a top loader, like some sort of top loading adapter to a Genesis that'll do it, but I don't know for sure. So it's neat. I mean, you can play Sonic Chaos for the Game Gear on this thing, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, I've been having some fun with that. I'd like to get this controller thing figured out. And it's cool to have another Genesis. So I have a Genesis in my office. I got one in my bedroom, and now I got one on the main TV. And so when my son becomes the age where he wants to take one for himself, he will get his pick of the litter between my Model 2, Model 3, and now my Repro, or Genesis Flashback, as it were. So that's great. Genesis is a great system. I'm trying to decide which is better, buying one of these things or just getting the OG hardware with an EverDrive. I don't know, and I don't know because I've never used an EverDrive, so I can't really speak to that. But I'm sure Dumaze will leave a comment telling me how awesome EverDrives are, and eventually I'll get one. That's another thing. It's got save and load states, which is pretty awesome. They're pretty... they're not easy to use on the fly, but they are usable. Hang on a second, I get the sun shining right in my face. Ooh, that's rough. So you're not looking at quick button save states, but if you're playing a game, you can save and come back later. You're looking at 10 slots per game, and it works on cartridges. Oh boy, that sun's right in my face. Oh man, this is pretty dangerous. Compounded by the fact that I'm talking into my phone. Oh boy, yeah, we're off to a good start. I can't even turn the recording off because I instituted a password. Alright, we'll muscle through it. So that was pretty much my weekend in video games. I got some stuff from the Steam sales. I didn't have altogether too much time to sit down and play, but what I did play, I certainly enjoyed. The stars of the show on the Sega Genesis was Sonic the Hedgehog 1, as well as Ride and Trad, which was neat. Good shmup game for the Genesis. Those two. As well as I tried all my different broken games on the Genesis and none of them worked. I think I'm ready to throw them out. I've got three cartridges for the Genesis that have never ever worked. One of them is a repro, whose name I can't think of off the top of my head, but just a reproduction cartridge that arrived broken. Also Populous and a Game Genie. So I think I'll do a video talking about those at some point because, I don't know, something to talk about. Not too many hardware failures, but these are a few examples. I don't think I've ever experienced a Super Nintendo game doing that. It's only been on the Genesis, but whatever. Be that as it may. Alright, boys and girls. I think I'm going to go ahead and call it on this one. It's Tuesday morning. It's cold. Oh boy, it's cold. It is freezing cold. It never got this cold last year, and we're looking at like day 3 or 4 of it being just absolutely blistering cold. So I am going to cope the best way I can with a very large cup of coffee as soon as I get to my desk. See you guys back in the studio. Okay, so just to recap, this was looking forward to Magfest, and that week I had played a bunch of Dead or Alive 5, and I've also played the Sega Genesis Flashback. Now that I've had the Flashback a little longer, I think it's a good machine. I don't think it's going to replace... Look, I think if you're zeroing in on the Sega to be your main system, then you want legit hardware. If you just would like a Sega to tool around with, I think this is the quintessential machine. My only real problem with it is I've had a few instances where I reach for that pause button and I just happen to be holding the left key and it does the rewind. And that to me, I mean, when you're doing a precision platforming game, that's quite a stumbling block. I mean, you can get used to it, but it's something you have to deal with that you didn't in the original Sega Genesis, and you expect those kinds of things to only add features. So I wouldn't say that's a system breaker, but you really have to know that going in. The emulation, because that's what it is. You put the game in and you dump the ROM and you play it. So it's really you're playing the ROM after it's been dumped. Then you emulate the ROM. It's spot on. You know, I play some Sonic. You know, those recognizable tunes come crystal clear. Game looks great. It feels great. Kind of like that you can put the game in, load it, start playing, then rip the card out and go play it in another machine while the first machine is on. I think that's kind of funny. So I already talked about that ad nauseum on the Vancast. Let's put that to bed. Let's just say, in recap, I want to go back and play Dead or Alive 5. Which, during Magfest, we loaded up and played. And I loved it. I loved that so much. Being able to play DOA 5 local multiplayer with a real human being. It was great times. It really was. Well, alright, boys and girls, just a quick reminder that this is a Patreon spunded. Ooh, boy, I botched that. Give me a break, guys. I've had a week off. This is a Patreon spunded show. We're going to go with it. And I don't offer these guys much. I give them a little shout out. As soon as the show gets done, I give them early access to the show. And I like to point out the elite gentlemen who keep me coming back every single week the best I can. They are Hemrock, James, Sendu, Tecmo Balls, Darabka, 6 Alpha Fury, and the Cartridge Brothers. Thank you guys so much for supporting. Just a heads up for the rest of you out there. Patreon in the last couple months removed their tax to support. So as a supporter, you no longer have to pay Patreon. Only the account. I don't know what would you call them. Only the Patri. The guys I just listed off, they don't have to pay a tax anymore. I lost a little support when they instituted that. We all did. Everybody who ran a Patreon account did. So thankfully they wised up and got rid of it. So let's do this. Let's keep the ball rolling. I've got one more awesome track from Jar listed here. This is Weiner Hype. It's another great song. Let's play this, and then we'll go back to the van. All right? All right, everybody. Join hands. Join hands around the campfire for the Weiner Hype. Such a good track, man. I gotta figure out that guy's gotta have an album or something. It's so good. It really is. Just a taste we got. That's unfair. It really is. Alright, here's a treat for you. This next Vancast is only but 1 minute long. Hang on, let me get the time signature. 1 minute, 27 seconds long. But what a doozy. Don't want to spoil it for you. Here it is. Well, I'm at Magfest right now. I'm in the room, heating up some coffee. It was a rough start, I say, but I think by Saturday morning we were in full swing. Friday night I went down to the arcade, and I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna outlast these kids." It was like midnight, everybody was up, and out having a good time, and just. But I also knew by like 4 in the morning I'd be dead, so I figured I'd go to sleep and try and get him on the back end. Got up early, got down to 7 in the morning. Oh yeah, I did the tour of the candy cabs. I wish I wrote down the names of all the shmups that I played through on free play, but I did several, and it was a good time, man. I stayed there until probably about 12. And then I was just like, oh, I ran out of gas. Went back to the room, and now it's about 3 o'clock. Had a little bit of a nap. Watched a movie. I'm getting ready to go back for the evening run. So yeah, I guess that's about it. Hang on a second. All right, back to Magfest. See you guys later. We really seemed to have nothing but bad things happen when we first got down there. The hotel that my friend got, choice location, beautiful location. They overbooked, and I didn't know that hotels did that. I thought that was just like a thing planes did. Now you might remember that at that time there was some sort of cold front sweeping the east coast of the United States that had a hashtag trending on Twitter. It was like bomb blizzard or something like that. I don't know. I think Twitter's kind of dumb personally. I do have one, but I think they're trending and all that stuff. The whole Twitter culture is a little silly. So it was cold, man. It was bitter cold, and we walked in it to get to the arcade, and it was, we had a good time. We really did. But getting put out of that first place and then getting put into a place where we couldn't hook devices up to the television was a major blow. Because one of my favorite things to do at Magfest, as silly as it is I like to play games in the room with my friend from childhood, who I only get to see a handful of times in a year. So that first time was a big bummer. But we got good sleep that night. Saturday we had a great time. The rest is history. I can't believe how I managed to get the video up early, but you can head over if you're on my YouTube channel right now. It's just a couple of videos back. It was a great time. Okay, so let's do this. I wanted to make it a 2-hour show, and we're only about 35 minutes in. So let's go ahead and play the third and final Vancast, and then we're really going to dig our heels in and see what else we can kick up. All right, you guys are listening to Tiger Claw Radio. It feels so good to be back to the old formula. It really does. All right, I'm driving home from Magfest right now. I just dropped off my friend, and it is Sunday afternoon, and this was a pretty weird Magfest because it had such a rocky start for me. For us, we had some issues with the hotel. Friday was really rough, but I think we made one key decision that turned it around and made it like a really awesome year, and this was it. Friday night, I went down to the arcade. It was midnight, and I think my friend was there too. We looked around, and it was so busy, and I just had this realization that it's like, I'm not going to outlast these kids. These young guys who are out here, they're going to party tonight. Let's just go back to the room and go to bed. So that's what I did. I went back and I went to bed and got a good night's sleep. watched watched some shows in the room. I'm still going through the Friday the 13th movies. We watched Friday the 13th, part 6. It was great. And then we woke up 7 o'clock in the morning, got out of bed, went back to the original hotel that bounced us, because our first hotel bounced us. But they were like, can't stay here, but if you come in the morning, we'll still give you the breakfast, even though you're not staying here. All right. So I walked over there, and I made them give me breakfast. And then we went to the arcade, and it was like 7:15, 7:30 in the morning. There wasn't anybody there because everybody partied all night the night before. And that was like, that opened the door and made it an awesome year. Because I was able to start the day by doing a tour of the candy cabs. And I played all the way through several different shmups on arcade candy cabs. Some of the names I can't pronounce without my friend here helping me out. But there's one particular one on Steam from Cave. I'm gonna try it. It's like Mushi Hui-sama, I don't know, something like that. A Japanese name starts with M. It's on Steam. Regulars at $20. They had the sequel there. I played all the way through that. Played all the way through a couple of games. I couldn't tell you what they were. I played a game called Blue Revolver, which I loved. Man, Blue Revolver was good. Blue Revolver is on Steam. I believe it's $10, but I'll have to double check that. They had that set up in a candy cab, and on the title screen, when you went to play it, it said, welcome to Magfest, like it was a special Magfest edition. And that was there Saturday morning and never again. I went back like Saturday afternoon and it was gone. And something else had replaced it in its arcade machine. Never saw it again. Played a game called Death Smiles from Cave, which is like kind of a weird shmup. Not as good as some of the other Cave shmups that are out there, like Dodonpachi and whatnot, but it was a fun game. I got a really nice arcade stick. I picked out something called an Obsidian, which is a PS2 or PS3, PS4 hybrid that works on PC. Really high-end stick. Which is amazing, because I thought at that time, it was Friday afternoon, and I was like, this is the last, we're never going to come here again because they're having such a bad experience. So I splurged and got a really expensive arcade stick. And now in retrospect, I'm kind of glad I did. I'm glad I did that. I'm going to have some fun with it. And what else? I didn't get too much from the vendors apart from that arcade stick. I got a couple of random Atari 2600 carts because I get a little something for the Atari every year. I got a couple of Famicom carts because now I have a Famiclone that runs games, so that's a viable platform for me to buy for now. And that was really it. 5 games total. I don't know what they are off the top of my head. You know what? I could probably name them. For the Atari, I got Circus Atari because I loved the video that Bithead 1000 did on it, and it looked like a fun game. Uses the paddle controller. I don't have a paddle, but I'll buy one at some point. I got MASH. You guys know MASH, the TV show? There was a MASH Atari game. I bought that. I have no idea what that's going to be like, but I want to try it, so I bought it. And I bought the sequel to the Journey Atari game. I think it was called Journey Escape, but Journey as in like the band Journey. So those 3 Atari games. And then for the Famicom, I bought Valis, because I like the Valis games lately for the Famicom. And I also got, I don't know what it's called, but I like River City Ransom, and there's a bunch of those River City Ransom type games from Technos Japan on the Famicom. Well, there's a hockey game from Technos Japan that uses those Kunio-kun characters. And I bought that. So those were the 5 games that I bought. Those 5 plus an expensive arcade stick. Now let's talk about the computer museum. Magfest has had a feature over the past several years where they have a museum with some classic computers. Now 5 years ago they used to just dump these right into the console room. I think I even made a video about it that year. There's like one banquet table, I had some old machines and you could play them, and right there in the console room. Well, now they have their own, set aside museum room, which is great. And last year it was great. This year it was leaps and bounds better than last year. It was amazing. The machines they had were awesome. I got to see a PC Engine Turbo Duo in action. I didn't play it, but I got to see it. It had a big placard, and I just wanted to see it running. That's all. And here was the star of the show, guys. This was really what killed me. Well, before we get to the star of the show, they had luggables, which is something, in terms of PC history, that's something I'm interested in. Luggables were these big portable computers before laptops were really a thing, where they were shaped like suitcases, and they were super duper heavy, but if you tipped them on their side, the bottom would fold out to a keyboard, and it was actually a computer. They had like 5 of those set up. But the star of the show, 6 computers playing the original Quake, all in deathmatch. And let me tell you, boys, Saturday evening, that was where I was at. That was where it was happening, brother. Was playing Quake multiplayer live with random walk-ups who were real people who I could really converse with, and there was nothing like it. It was an amazing experience. When I first saw it in the morning, they had it set up so that each node in the network, the character was named after someone from the development team. So there was a John Carmack, an Adrian Carmack, a John Romero, and a few other people. I don't know the entire development team, but a few other people. American McGee was on there. And I went into the console and I changed my name to Fart, because you could do that in the console. Name, space, whatever you want it to be. Alright, I hope I don't get in trouble. I changed the name. Sorry, guys. It's like John McGee, American McGee, or American McGee, John Romero, John Carmack, and Fart. And I came back to it later on, and then later on, all of the names were changed. Everybody just went wild and changed all the names. So it was really funny. It was a good time. Met some awesome people. It was funny because, like, I didn't think much of the young guys. You'd have these young guys who'd be like, well, you know, I don't really know how to play this game, but I kind of want to give it a shot because of its place in history. But there was this one guy who sat down and he started changing the controls. I was like, man, what are you doing? When you play a first-person shooter, right, on the PC, you got WASD on the left hand and you got your mouse on the right hand. That's the way it's done. This guy was changing it. He was making, like, look up and look down, or page up and page down. And then it occurred to me, I asked him, what game did you play that got you used to playing it that way? And he turned around and looked at me. And this is a guy who's pretty close to my age, but a little bit older. Probably mid-30s. I'm 33. I would gauge him at like 36, 37. He was like, this was the way Quake shipped, dude. He was resetting the controls so that the arrow keys, like left, right, and then you had to hold down Alt to strafe. And when I realized what he was doing, I was like, oh man, this guy's gonna wipe us all. And he, sure enough, he was quite the contender. It was a good time, man. I had a lot of fun. I'm definitely gonna fire up Quake again when I get home. It was cool, man. It was really cool. They had the Reaper bot running. I could tell because it says it on the screen between every round. It says running Reaper bot version 0. whatever. And I think the idea was that if one person sat down to play deathmatch and there was nobody else in the network, the admin could drop by, add a couple of bots, and you'd be on your way. But hey, you know, it never came to that. We ran Reaper bot the whole time, but we just played the deathmatch. Oh my goodness, it hit all of the tisms. It was a perfect G sharp in the pentatonic tism scale. The pentatonic tism scale. G sharp. That's what it was. Let's see. Anything else awesome that happened at Magfest? Oh yeah, I've already forgotten the name of it, but there's a super expensive game for the original Xbox I got to play. It's I know you guys listening are probably gonna be yelling at me for not knowing what it's called. But it's a battle mech simulator, and the reason why it's really expensive is because of the controller that's required to play it. It's this great big sweeping machine, and then it has 3 pedals on the floor, and there's a special button to turn on to close the cockpit, and another button to start the engine. It's crazy. And I sat down to play it, and immediately, as soon as I sat down, one of the people who ran the joint was like, "Do you know how to play this game?" Like right away. I was like, "Hey, you know what you're doing?" I was like, "No, not really." He was like, "All right, let me show you what to do." In order to start the mech, you got to put all 10 of these switches in the up position. Then you got to close the cockpit. Then you got to make sure it's in neutral. Then you got to play this mini game where all these bars move left and right. Once they're all above the line, hit the ignition button, and the mech will start. And I was like, all right, I'm off. And sure enough, I closed the cockpit and I flipped all the switches and the gears went off and the mech
sprung to life, and I did the mini game, and I got it started and the engine up, and I couldn't get the mech to move. Later on, I realized that there was a gear shifter, and it was in neutral, and I couldn't. I didn't know to get it out of neutral into first gear to make the mech move. I went back to it later in the event, and both of the joysticks were broken. So I think whoever loaned that game to Magfest is going to be super pissed, and we're never going to see it again. But it was amazing that I got to tool around with it for a little while, even though I couldn't get anywhere. I'm able to say I played it. That was a thing that happened. It was awesome. It was really cool. The whole experience only took up about maybe 20 minutes of my time, and it's something I did. Oh yeah, here's another one for you. I also played a real live pachinko, which was cool for me because I like, I played a couple of silly like pachinko simulator games. I got a few pachinko games for Famicom that I enjoy. I got to really play a pachinko machine, which was awesome. They had a few set up. You donated a little bit to charity, and then they gave you some tokens. Put them in, you get a big thing of balls. I ended up playing Evangelion pachinko machine, and I only did that for a little while, and then that was enough, and then I was done. But it's something I experienced. It's cool, I never done that before. I broke new ground at Magfest this year, so I really appreciated that. I really did. I didn't find any vinyl. Well, scratch that. I didn't find any vinyl records that I wanted to buy. There was one booth that was selling like video game soundtracks in vinyl, but they were bare, true OSTs. Like I kind of looked at this one that was like a 10-inch record of the Castlevania 3 OST, and I'm sure it was $20, and I'm sure if I bought it, it would be sold online for $80, and I'd be making a sound investment or something. But I realized I didn't want to play this. I went looking for musicians. I was hoping Kirby's Dream Band, who was supposedly there, was going to sell their record. I was hoping to buy that, and I didn't find it. So that was kind of a disappointment. But I still had a good time, but that's one thing that I had in my preconceptions of the event that I wanted to happen that just didn't happen. So, it is what it is. I got my arcade stick instead, and I think I came out on top in that trade. Alright. So that is that, and I'm going to throw it back to the Comfortable Panther Studios. Oh yes, one last thing. Thank you for being patient with me, because I know going to the con has thrown a wrench in the TCR production, so thanks for being patient with me, and I don't know when I don't know if I'm going to get one out late this week, or if I'm going to have to skip this week or what, but thank you for being patient, and let's throw it back to the studios.
My apologies for doing that breakdown of the Magfest issues twice. I had forgotten that I went over that in that particular Vancast, so bear with me. Let's do a quick recap of some of the things we went over. Towards the beginning of that, I talked about a Japanese shmup from Cave, the company Cave, that appeared at Magfest, and I couldn't remember the name of it. That game was called Mushi Hime-sama, which is available for $20 regular price on Steam. I believe I got my copy for $10. That is a good game. You can, what my friend calls credit feed through that game on Steam. I mean, you can just keep hitting that continue button and just chill out and play it as much as you want, versus a lot of other shmups like the Raiden games, which are really strict about their continues, and you can't do that. So very hardcore in terms of the number of bullets, very beautiful artwork, but also very approachable and fun to play. And there's a lot of, from what I understand, there's a lot of really cool bonuses if you can get good at the game as well. My Steam copy, I've only got 105 minutes into it, so I'm not that great at it, but I've played all the way through it a couple times, and at Magfest I got to play through the sequel, which is great. It was a good time. So that's that. And then I also talked about the Quake Land, which was, let me tell you, that Quake Land game, I'm going to be talking about that years from now. It was a legendary, historic game. Oh my gosh. Me just playing with randos in person. People who played Quake when it was new, who knew what dial-up internet was, These are guys who played on servers where the people who somehow would play on these high connections, like T1 connections. I don't know how you would get a T1 connection in those days, but you'd have a server with like 20 people, and there'd be like one or two guys with these really small pings. So some servers would have rules that would auto ban people if their pings were small enough. There you go, my buddy just joined. Let's see if I got a game of Fortnite. I've been waiting for my buddy from work to get online. We were going to play some Battle Royale Fortnite. I've never played it, but I got it installed. He talks about it a lot, so it's supposed to be pretty good. So that was Quake. I couldn't believe it. It was unbelievable. It was so good, so much fun. And that's all the band casting I have. We're only 52 minutes in. So I have a whole another hour to go over comments, and I gotta be honest, I don't think there's that many. Give me a second. I'm gonna head over to. I have a feeling I'm gonna end up playing another chiptune, but let's head over there and see what's there first. Thanks so much to the new subscribers on Tiger Claw TV. I can see that the numbers have gone up for the first time in quite a while, just a tad. Yes. So last week, or the last time I recorded, was episode 216. That makes this 217. Okay, didn't do very well. it was the Happy New Year episode. So let's see. Gosh, and I got one comment. Dumaze writes, the earliest examples of game style clones, Pong. Yeah, Pong had a lot of clones. It sure did. So here's what I think I might do, guys. Since we didn't get a whole lot of comments, that wasn't really a thing for us. I think we're gonna do some old school fail bag. Now, the way I used to do this when TCR started was people didn't write in because I wasn't getting out there as much. I mean, I would get like 1 or 2 listeners or something, and that'd be great. But I didn't have enough people, writing in to merit a mailbag. So what I did was I went to GameFAQs.com and I would read posts as if they were written into the show. And Dumaze, thank you for being the only person who wrote in. Much appreciated. Now, let's put our ear to the ground and go out into the world and see what they're saying on the internet in the true fail bag. The fail bag in its final form. Wow, okay. Quick break that you'll never know about unless I tell you. I feel like I should put a sound effect in there so you can tell that there was a break in the recording, but it's now the next day from when I said we're going to do the fail bag. Right at that moment, a friend of mine got on, we ended up playing some Fortnite. So let's see. All right, let's go over to the internet and see what the kids are saying. All right, Resident Evil Remake 2. It's happening. Capcom just changed their logos. I don't know, guys. You guys still want a remake of Resident Evil 2? I think I've gone beyond that. I think for me, I would rather just play the good old-fashioned Resident Evil 2 again. I think I'd rather see them make a new PS1 game. Because clearly, whatever Capcom is now is incapable of making a Resident Evil game like those old 3. And it's not even what everybody wants now, right? I don't know. I'm embittered toward Resident Evil. Partially because in 1998, when my buddy got the first Resident Evil, and I saw that zombie look over his shoulder, I can't describe how much that shook me, man. That was such a pivotal moment in video games. A pivotal moment where video games really became scary movies. And now they're just like, I don't know, God of War clones or something. It's just not what it could be. And I know that people are excited about a Resident Evil 2 remake because of the promise of it returning to like that time when it was really at its peak potential. That's not what we're going to get. Even if they try and give us that kind of game, it's not what we're going to get. Capcom just isn't capable of doing it anymore. I really don't think they are. But I'm terribly sorry. I know that's going to make some people upset, but oh well, what are we going to do? Let's see what else is being said. Here's one. CSGO is getting twice as many viewers as Overwatch League. And we see a screenshot of Twitch, where Counter-Strike Global Offensive is being watched by 340k people, Overwatch by 177. Now, I got two things to say about this. Number one, I think it's a young man's idea to to use the Twitch streaming stats as the end-all metric for popularity. I'm not saying it should be ignored. There's something to say for what is and is not being watched on Twitch. I just don't think it's necessarily what's going to dictate what's worth playing. When you put Global Offensive against Overwatch, number one, Counter-Strike has been around forever. It's an enduring game. Right? There's a lot of things I don't like about it and a lot of things I dearly love about it. I mean, just this iteration alone, that can be said. As far as Overwatch is concerned, I'm kind of biased because I don't like Blizzard. I never liked what they were doing with Overwatch. The incredible censorship among players. Blizzard is not a company I want to do business with. And I just was never really interested in Overwatch. The only thing about Overwatch that ever piqued my interest was its popularity. I wanted to shoot with the people who are playing the shooting games, and if that's where they're going, then I guess I would have to consider it. But that's not enough for me to drop $60 on a game where they'll completely silence you if you don't abide by their community standards. Too many stories of people getting banned from Overwatch, and it's not something I want to take part in. As far as what people are watching more on Twitch, I don't know. Counter-Strike's one of those games is like they're a cornerstone of the modern esports scene. Not that I know a lot about the esports scene, but I feel like they are more so than Overwatch. But that's always been the case. Even when people were buying Overwatch and getting really excited about it, Counter-Strike was still the bigger esports game, at least in my opinion. DreamHack was going on, and stuff like that. I don't know. I just heard more interest in Counter-Strike in terms of esports. Counter-Strike, and then after Counter-Strike, you could argue like League of Legends and Dota 2 are more popular in the esports scene, but you compare Overwatch to Counter-Strike. I think Overwatch is going to be a faded memory, and Counter-Strike will still be around. Personally, that's my opinion. The top response to this is both games are crap. I could see that. All right, let's see what else the Webernet is saying. Cyberpunk 2077 soundtrack. What should the soundtrack for Cyberpunk 2077 be like? Tell you what it should be like. It should be like the soundtrack for Hotline Miami. All right. What else? Anything else good? Here we go. How in the heck can Overwatch be a bigger esport than StarCraft 2? I don't really know much about StarCraft 2. But I know in Korea that StarCraft scene, man. Overwatch will never touch the Korean StarCraft scene. It's just not going to happen. StarCraft will continue to blow Overwatch out of the water in that instance. Okay, what else we got? Games only you have played, which is a very common topic in terms of video games. Games only I have played. You know, for a long time, I would answer that question with MS-DOS games. I would say there's still a few obscure MS-DOS games that didn't quite make it to the abandonware scene or to the GOG scene. Specifically, there's a game, Heroes, I can think of. Like, not these polished MS-DOS games, but like the games that were made by a single person and traded on bulletin board systems. That's one I can think of. A mainstream title would be Trap Gunner for the PS1, which was kind of like a spy versus spy type game with Animu characters. That comes to mind because I got to play it with my buddy when we were off at Magfest. Trap Gunner is a fun game. I seem to remember it more fondly than it actually was. It was one of those where like I was like, oh, this is kind of hard to play, but still enjoyed it. Would still play it again. Nobody else has played that game. All right. What are some of the other games that people say that they're the only one who have been is one played? Woo! All right. You know what? I'm gonna go with that. A lot of international titles, a lot of Japanese names. Casanova for PC CD-ROM. Okay. All right. I think we're done with that. What else we got? Parasite Eve 2. Is this better than the first game? Gosh. I don't know. I'd have to ask my older brother. He'd be able to tell better than me. But I remember more of Parasite Eve 1, so I remember that more fondly. Here we go. DOA 6 rumors from Japan. It's expected to be made with a new developer. And a reboot to the mythos, but with the same characters and designs. Namco is doing the developing. No responses. DOA 6. What do you guys think? Am I the only one who would ever be excited about that? Good old Dead or Alive. Love those games. They're so good. The Dead or Alive games are so good, and the Dead or Alive Extreme, like bikini beach volleyball type games, so vastly undermine what that series is capable of. Like, I get it that they're just fun little, they're just fun little like background kind of side games, but those are the ones that get all the press. And it's like there's an awesome fighting game here too, guys. All right, hang on one second. Woo! Thanks. Okay. All right, we're almost done. I'm gonna head over to see if there's anything else awesome that I can make believe was written into the show. Thank you guys so much, Anon, for writing in. Oh boy, let's see one more time. What we got? We'll be ready in 12 minutes. I don't know why I've had such problems with my microphone peaking. Maybe I gotta drop this down. Is there gain on it when there shouldn't be? How about that? All right, hey, I'm testing the old levels here. Hey, all right. Regardless of that, it just, oh my gosh, it feels good to be an hour in and not just have Vancast. All right, I know this is dumb, but I'm enjoying this. Let's see what else we got. XCOM. We see the original XCOM game, the one that was abandonware for so many years, and is now available legally through many different means. Anon writes in, this game's kicking my butt. How do I get good? Well, look, man. A lot of the original XCOM is RNG, unfortunately. I know old Sean's going to get real mad, but those missions, man, you never know what hill they're going to be over. They can see you before you can see them. Just got to stick to it. People are going to die right away. You got to be okay with losing the rookies. That's what Sean would always tell me. Be okay with the rookies getting killed, because that's going to happen in XCOM. Let the rookies die. Hold on to your vets, and just keep the machine turning until you hit success. Let's read some of the responses, because I think there's some things to be learned here. Expect a high death rate on first missions until you reach non-suck tech. Ignore all ships, but small and very small at first, unless you can catch a medium already landed. We also have research laser rifles. Auto shots give more hits per TU than aimed shots. That's a time unit. The game schedules one alien mission plus one terror mission per month until July, then 2 missions plus a terror per month. Once you research the Martian solution, the game also gives you a scheduled alien retaliation in all regions with an XCOM base. The alien race in these is drawn at random. At any time you shoot down a UFO, the game may generate a retaliation mission. This will be either in a region where the craft that performed the shootdown is based, or the region where the shootdown happened. The odds of getting a retaliation mission go up on higher difficulty settings. There will follow a succession of small, medium, or large scouts, followed by 2 battleships. If they don't find your base, the aliens will give up. In the original game, not Open XCOM, if your base defenses shoot down a UFO, Then the game fails to clear a flag, which results in endless battleships charging your base. You can open xbases.dat in a hex editor and clear the flag. Wow, that is quite a bug. I was aware of some bugs in the XCOM sequel, the one where everything's underwater. Didn't know about that. I still like it, though. Still like XCOM. For all its flaws, the second you kick down the door of a spaceship after puttering around for 25 minutes in a mission, oh man, the tension in a turn-based game cannot be beat. And I know that there's people listening out there within the small TCR listener base that don't like the old XCOM interface. Look, I get it, it's old, it's bad, but I was able to get down with it. It really didn't detract from the game for me. There was a slippery period of getting used to it, and I'm sure the new game does it better in terms of the interface, but like that old one. And I haven't played the new one yet, so I can't really comment on that fairly. That's it for me, guys. We are 1 hour and 7 minutes in. I wanted to do the 2-hour episode. I've already run into the second day of recording. As it is, this is going to go up for the patrons late Saturday night instead of Friday night. Doing the best I can. But this was fun. Doing the old school fail bag was fun. I think let's do this. I think I would like to do this a little bit, even if we have a good response from you listeners. If any of you guys want to interact, I like those messages. It's been said, and I think it's fair. There are plenty of times where the fail bag, just reading your comments and stuff, will save the show, and it really can. So leave a comment, primarily on the YouTube page, but anywhere where you can listen to this or download it. If you read it, it's liable to be read on the air. Just know that the only guaranteed ones are the ones on YouTube or on thenextround.net. Well, alright, boys and girls, that's it for me. I'll see you next week on Tiger Claw Radio.